In the heart of Tokyo, where neon lights meet quiet back streets, a young woman's life was brutally taken in an act that shocked not only Japan but also millions across China. What began as a simple story of friendship between two international students quickly turned into a nightmare, one that revealed the dark side of human selfishness, betrayal, and justice that took years to unfold. This is the true story of Jiang Ge, a 4-year-old Chinese student murdered in Tokyo, and how her death sparked outrage across two nations, exposing how even the closest friendships can hide unimaginable cruelty. They were supposed to be best friends studying abroad, sharing dreams, and supporting each other in a foreign country. But on a cold night in November 2016, one friend locked the other out of their apartment while a killer waited outside. Within minutes, the hallway was drenched in blood. When the truth came out that the door had been locked from the inside while Jiang was stabbed to death, it wasn't just a murder story anymore. It became a moral question that haunted millions. What would you do if saving your friend meant putting yourself in danger? The girl who left home for a dream, Jiang Ge, was born in Qingdao, China, a bright, ambitious young woman who dreamed of building a life through education. She had a kind heart, an infectious laugh, and a sense of duty toward her mother, who raised her alone after a divorce. Her mother, Jiang Ge, worked tirelessly to support her daughter's studies, saving every penny she could. In 2013, Jiang Ge moved to Japan, enrolling at Hosei University in Tokyo. She was studying Japanese and part-time working at a cafe. Her friends described her as cheerful and optimistic, someone who helped others without hesitation. To Jiang, Japan wasn't just a foreign country. It was a chance to prove herself, to build a life that would make her mother proud. But that dream would come to an end in a narrow Tokyo hallway because of one decision, one moment of betrayal that would change everything. The friend, Liu Xin. Every story of tragedy has a second name, and in this one, it was Liu Xin. Liu was also a Chinese student in Japan. She met Jiang through a circle of friends, and soon they became close. They shared meals, talked about life, and often supported each other as international students far from home. But unlike Jiang, Liu's life was turbulent. She had recently broken up with her boyfriend, Chen Shifeng, a controlling and volatile man who refused to accept their breakup. Chen had grown increasingly aggressive, threatening Liu, showing up unannounced, and even stalking her. Liu was terrified, and so, being a kind friend, Jiang offered her a safe place to stay in her small apartment while Liu figured things out. Jiang's only goal was to help her friend, but that act of kindness would lead her straight into the hands of a killer, the killer, Chen Shifeng. Chen Shifeng, Liu's ex-boyfriend, was a Chinese national studying in Japan as well. Friends later described him as possessive, jealous, and prone to violent outbursts. When Liu tried to leave him, he didn't take it well. He began following her, sending threatening messages, and showing up at her school. She told Jiang about it, and Jiang, always the peacemaker, encouraged her to stay strong. But Chen's obsession was turning dangerous. He blamed Liu for humiliating him and told mutual friends that if she didn't come back to him, someone would die. Nobody took his words seriously until November 3rd, 2016, the night of the murder. That evening, Jiang and Liu returned home from an outing. It was close to midnight. The two women were talking as they entered their apartment building in the Nakano district of Tokyo. But waiting outside the building was Chen Shifeng. As soon as the women reached their door, Chen confronted them. He was furious, shouting at Liu, demanding to talk. Terrified, Liu ran inside the apartment, slamming the door behind her, leaving Jiang outside in the hallway. Jiang tried to calm Chen down. She told him to leave, that they could talk later. But the argument grew louder and more heated. Moments later, Chen pulled out a knife and began stabbing Jiang over and over again. By the time police arrived, Jiang was lying motionless in the hallway, her body covered in blood. She had been stabbed 10 times in the neck, chest, and arms. Liu, who was inside the apartment, didn't open the door, not once. The betrayal that shook a nation. When police pieced together the events, the truth was unbearable. Jiang had died protecting her friend. She stood between Liu and Chen, trying to stop the violence. But while she bled to death outside, Liu had locked the door, refusing to come out even as Jiang screamed for help. When Chen fled the scene, Liu finally called the police. To many, this wasn't just a murder, it was a betrayal. Jiang had taken Liu in, protected her, and paid the ultimate price for it. And Liu's response, both during and after the murder, showed shocking coldness. In the days that followed, Chinese and Japanese social media exploded with outrage. Millions demanded justice not only for Jiang's death, but also for Liu's moral failure. People asked, how could she live with herself? The trial of Chen Shifeng, Chen, was quickly arrested and charged with murder. During the trial, he admitted to killing Jiang, but tried to justify his actions by claiming he was angry and emotional. The court heard gruesome details of the attack, how Chen waited outside for hours, planning to confront Liu, and how Jiang became an accidental victim of his rage. Chen showed little remorse. He didn't cry. He didn't apologize. He sat quietly as prosecutors detailed how Jiang had died defending a woman who never even came to her aid. In 2017, the Tokyo District Court sentenced Chen Shifeng to 20 years in prison. For Jiang's mother, that sentence felt like an insult. Her daughter had lost her life, and the man who killed her could walk free one day. The mother who refused to stay silent. If there was one person who refused to let Jiang's memory fade, it was her mother, Jiang Ge. After her daughter's death, she traveled to Japan, attending every hearing, often alone, carrying a photo of Jiang. She stood outside the courthouse, wrapped in a black coat, holding signs demanding justice. Her grief became a symbol of perseverance. She didn't speak Japanese, had little money, but refused to give up. She slept in cheap hostels, surviving on small meals, while she fought to make sure her daughter wasn't forgotten. But her pain was made worse by Liu Xin, the friend her daughter died protecting. The public outrage against Liu Xin. After the murder, Liu Xin disappeared from public view. For months, she refused to meet Jiang's mother or publicly apologize. When she finally appeared online, her words shocked everyone. Instead of showing remorse, she portrayed herself as a victim, claiming she was also traumatized and that she didn't owe anyone an apology. People were furious. How could she not feel guilt after hiding behind a door while her friend was being murdered outside? The outrage turned into a national storm. On Chinese social media, millions attacked Liu for her heartless behavior. She was labeled the most selfish friend in the world. Some said she had betrayed humanity. In interviews, Jiang's mother said, "If my daughter hadn't protected her, she would still be alive today." That single sentence captured the heartbreak of an entire nation. The civil lawsuit. In 2018, Jiang's mother filed a civil lawsuit against Liu Xin in China, demanding an apology and compensation for moral harm. Liu, now using a different name to avoid attention, resisted the case. She accused Jiang's mother of harassment and said she was being unfairly blamed. The case became one of the most emotionally charged trials in recent Chinese history. Crowds filled the courtroom, and millions watched online updates. Finally, in 2022, the Chengdu People's Court ruled in favor of Jiang's mother. The court ordered Liu Xin, now known as Liu Nuanqi, to publicly apologize and pay 496,000 yuan, about $70,000 USD, in damages. For Jiang's mother, it wasn't about money. It was about justice, about forcing Liu to acknowledge what she had done, or rather, what she hadn't done. The dark side of human nature. The Jiang Ge case didn't just expose a crime, it exposed the darker side of human nature. It forced people to ask, what would you do if you were in Liu's position? Would you open the door to help your friend, knowing a killer stood outside? The uncomfortable truth is that fear can make people selfish. Liu's actions were cowardly, but they also revealed how far humans will go to protect themselves, even at the cost of others. Psychologists later said that Liu's reaction was likely fight or flight, a moment of blind panic. But what angered people most was her behavior afterward, her coldness, her lack of apology, her refusal to acknowledge Jiang's sacrifice. She wasn't punished for killing anyone, but she was condemned by millions for her silence. A nation's reflection. Across China, Jiang's story became a symbol of moral reckoning. Universities discussed it in ethics classes. News anchors debated what it meant to be a friend. For young women studying abroad, it became a cautionary tale not about murder, but about trust. It reminded them that kindness can be dangerous when it's given to the wrong people. Jiang Ge's mother continued to speak publicly, reminding everyone that her daughter's sacrifice should never be forgotten. She said, "My daughter's blood should not be shed in vain. It should teach people how to be human." And, indeed, Jiang's name became synonymous with selflessness and courage, while Liu's name became a symbol of betrayal. The lingering questions. Even now, questions remain that no one can answer. Why didn't Liu call for help sooner? Why did she lock the door? Did she truly feel any guilt? And why did Chen, a man educated and intelligent, descend into such hatred that he could murder an innocent woman? The case revealed the hidden vulnerabilities of international students, young people isolated in foreign countries, with little protection or support when violence erupts. It also exposed how society struggles to judge not only legal guilt, but moral responsibility. In the end, Jiang Ge became more than a victim. She became a symbol of kindness, of sacrifice, and of how one act of courage can expose the deepest truths about humanity. And as the world remembers her name, the question she leaves behind still echoes through time. If you had the power to save your friend, even if it meant risking your life, would you open the door?